video just so that we can start that going good. You ready?
Yep, so we're recording. I'm stopping my video and I'm muting myself so you're good to go whenever.
All right, great. Hi, guys, whoever's listening. And okay, let me start that over already. That's not what I had. Hi, and thanks for visiting me here in beautiful Costa Rica. My name is Scott Allen. I'm a chef and restaurateur who also rescues dogs. We're actually currently adjacent to my rescue center, which has about 75 dogs right now. And I'm here today to talk a little bit about how I ended up here, what I'm currently doing, and how I was kind of able to intersect my passion and purpose, my business here with the dog rescue, and how that kind of really turned into, without that being the plan, a type of local community outreach, which now has kind of progressed into a broader, more Costa Rica outreach. So my quick history is that I'm from Los Angeles by way of Oklahoma and Los Angeles. Yeah, I bounced back and forth between those two places basically growing up, and then in my 20s I settled into LA. So I grew up in a really dog-loving family, as well as lots of other animals and pets that we picked up along the way. We were stray collectors. Both of my parents were actually cooks. They support our family as cooks and working in restaurants and restaurant ownership. So I've always been in a kitchen. My mom was my first real teacher, and not only at home, but she would let me tag along to her work and restaurants when we owned them and different things. So I always found myself in a kitchen, which was a really amazing playground for me because I, from a very young age, loved cooking, and I liked decorating the plates and playing with how I could make it visually interesting as well. So yeah, that's kind of how I started. I then, at a young, in my late teens, I started mentoring actually with a chef, a Culinary Institute of America graduate, and I worked with him for 2 to 3 years, and then I was kind of planning to go to culinary school, and I said, well, wait, let me get to Los Angeles and live my 20s and have a little bit of fun. So I did that, and then LA kind of, the glitz of LA took over my life, and and so I wanted to accomplish a lot there, and I ended up working with a lot of chefs, anywhere from Austria, France, Switzerland, and Ireland. So that's really where my palate grew, no pun intended, for cultures, and certainly in how cultures reflect themselves through food and things like that. So that my passion for food kind of comes from there. But then one day I went to Costa Rica, just really a vacation, 20-something years ago. But for me, it was really so much more. It became a real love story, a place where I felt welcome, and the local people were genuine, and culturally, really, where I recognized that there was this real inner environmental awareness going on. And it had been going on for a while. Costa Rica seems to be incredibly concerned with maintaining sustainability and balance with the natural environment here, and most probably because they benefit so much from it. Tourism has become our biggest export. So even if you look at it now, arguably they really do have one of the best and largest natural rainforest land protection programs of any other country on the planet. They're rapidly reaching the carbon-free and pollution-free beach clean water, clean goals. So living here and receiving so much benefit from that and learning so much and really getting a lot from the local culture, I certainly want to and feel it's important to reciprocate and give back. So here's my story kind of and how I try and do that. I'm proud to be a permanent resident of Costa Rica now for over 15 years. So my story here in Costa Rica begins with a few trips here originally, like I said, as a tourist. My love for the country developed over that time, and I found myself kind of fantasizing about, how could you live in another country? I mean, what does that entail? So, and then even after that, I realized every time I was coming, I was falling in love with a dog, a different dog, a stray dog. I would have them in my room. So every time, and then I would have to leave these dogs, and it was really, really emotionally difficult. So I figured out that I really do love this country. I love my furry friends there. How can I get there? And the wheels started turning, and I said, great, I can't work there. I'm not a citizen, I'm not legal to work. So I'll start a business. I got a business partner, and we started doing business in tourism, which was a huge challenge because I did not know Spanish. I had a couple of years of high school, which I did not practice, but it came back to me. And you know what was amazing about that process is the locals were just so giving of helping me to learn that, and at the same time they wanted to learn English a lot, and it is a big part of the culture here now because of tourism being their #1 export. It was a real give and take, and that give and take really helped to contribute to my sustainability here in Costa Rica, and really helped me to create these strong friendships and alliances along the way that I'm still that are still really important to me today. So I want to give you an idea of where we are here in Costa Rica. Our region is the Northern Pacific, and besides being beautiful and lush and green all year round, because of our elevation, we have amazing and really refreshing and cooler temperatures here. We're up at a higher elevation. We're on the slopes of the Arno volcano, a dormant volcano, Cerro Chato. So we're kind of high. It's actually nice. The dogs are here. It's a little more refreshing than other lower levels of Costa Rica. So it really is actually an ideal place for the dogs and to be able to take them out for walks and them not to get too hot. So my original goal was to be a business owner and live here part-time. Now I own a few restaurants. I founded a dog rescue center. I built a house, a gourmet kitchen, and I live here full-time. So you understand. I want to give you a little bit of history on the dog rescue, what we do here. We started our nonprofit, which is called Costa Rica Dog Rescue, a little over 10 years ago. We currently, right now, have about 75 dogs. Our goal is really to have about 50. 75 is a little more than we want to have here, just in terms of maintaining the highest quality of their health and everybody's. And certainly where we are, we're in tourism area and hotels nearby. So all of our dogs are spay and neutered upon arrival. They're given, of course, any medical attention that's needed, which is quite often because
Sorry,
they are.
can I just interrupt for 1 second?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off. The internet is getting like really spotty, and you're kind of going in and out a little bit. And I'm wondering if you could I don't know if you should stop your video for a second and then turn it back on. Sometimes that helps get things back on the right path. Now you're clear again, actually.
Yeah, I'm here right by the. So, you know what?
Okay,
What's that? Do you want me to start over?
I said, can you hear? No, it's okay. I just didn't know if maybe if you turned your video off for a second and then turned it back on and resumed, if it would be a little bit more clear.
Should I do that? So should I leave the room or just stop the video and turn it back on?
Yeah, you could just stop the video and then turn it back on, maybe.
All right. Am I talking too fast?
Okay, thanks. Sometimes. No, you're talking great. I'm just not sure why it got choppy all of a sudden because it wasn't like that earlier.
Where do you want me to go back to start?
Maybe just where you were with the dogs.
All right. So I want to give you a little bit of history on the dog rescue. Okay, good. I'll start there.
Yeah. Okay,
right.
Thank you so much.
Sure. No, thank you for catching that. All right, good. So let's go. So I want to give you a little bit of history on the Dog Rescue Center. We started our nonprofit called Costa Rica Dog Rescue over 10 years ago. We currently have about 75 dogs here, though our goal really is 50. So with the environment we're in right now, we've had a few less adoptions. So we have 75 right now. Of course, when our dogs are brought in, they're spay and neutered. They're given any medical attention that's needed right away, which is actually quite often because they're, besides our own staff and team and myself rescuing dogs, local police might bring them, or local neighbors when they find dogs in dire situations that are street dogs. So we assimilate them into the center based on their personality and behavior. And yeah, we have a staff of about 4 or 5 Costa Ricans that actually work here. We have a vet tech assistant. We have 2 or 3 guys that just work with the dogs. And then we have an admin person that helps run our volunteer program and our donation program. On top of that, we're really lucky. We have any given number of volunteers coming at any time based on tourism in our season. So we do have a volunteer program with live in-person volunteers that are typically probably 90% tourists that want to come and enjoy the program. They pay a donation to come in. They make a donation, I should say, to come in and enjoy the dogs and do dog walking and dog washing and whatever they kind of want to do, or dog playing, which is really important. And then we've just started a virtual program online. We're working with Amazon Explore, and we're doing live virtual volunteer tours. So that's a pretty interesting new thing. So our in-person volunteer program that I'm talking about has been a real success, and one I think more rescue centers around the world could emulate, especially really highly tourist-driven locations. One of the biggest challenges of running any rescue center, any nonprofit really, are donations as income. So that was my biggest dilemma. My dog population was increasing, and I was having to try to figure out how do I support this without spending all of my own money, which of course at some point would run out as the growth continued. And so, again, with Costa Rica being this very tour-driven location, and one of my first businesses here was a tour, I thought, why don't we make it kind of like a tour? So I said, hey, we could make coming to the dog rescue fun and make it interesting and do the dog walking and the dog playing and have certain areas where you could go and depending on what you wanted to do, even you could work in the office. So we started doing that. We started raising awareness. We went to local restaurants and tour agencies and started talking about that. And they liked it. They were kind of a little, that's strange. But then we got ourselves on TripAdvisor and other online tour booking agencies. And really kind of the rest is history because it took off well, and it's been a real big supporter of this dog rescue center for several years now. And again, I think it's a great way for almost, there's tourists that go everywhere around the world. So if you're somewhere and you can do it, it's really a great opportunity to invite people in, even charging a nominal fee as a donation. And they'll be most people love dogs, and they'll be certainly ready to join in and have fun. So I'm really proud and happy to say that in 10 years of rescue, we've been able to rescue and forever home really a little over 500 dogs. We adopt many to US and Canada, as well as other countries, and then we do some here in Costa Rica. We're actually right now in the beginning stages of planning a charter that's going to take about 100 or so dogs, hopefully, in April, May of 2021 from here in Costa Rica to Canada. We're working with 2 or 3 different rescue organizations to make that happen. Many people comment to me when I meet them how much I must love dogs since I rescue them. It really is true. I grew up with animals in our home and sleeping in my bed at night. I do love them. But for me, mostly, I rescue dogs out of a sense of responsibility. I accept that we as a world have really helped to create this problem for our domestic dog overpopulation. So really, I want to be a part of the solution. I love solving problems. It's very satisfying. Dog rescue was never on my radar, but it transformed and reinvented my life. Dogs can be pure love, and they are love-making and love-giving factories. So how could I not help them and want them to be around me all the time? And that's my place with dogs. I've also been a big chef here, and my life revolves around cooking. I have a big kitchen, and we're here on the 3rd floor in my gourmet kitchen now, and that's where I do my cooking classes. Now, what's been really helpful of me, I talked a lot earlier about intersecting my business with my foundation, the dog rescue. Of course, it helps that we're on the 3rd floor overlooking our dog rescue, so it's a natural, thing to talk about. And everyone loves dogs. Everybody wants to talk about dogs. I've certainly found that for the most part. So it's a real easy transition, and people talk about it. So it's been a great way for me to intersect the two. As a business owner, I'm really a business owner and a person, I should say. I want to give back. And so those 2 things end up being a great balance. One that wasn't planned, but that's happening. So we're supported through local business and foreign visitors through tourism. We're able to promote ethical and humane treatment of dogs on a local level, while at the same time, finding them forever homes and families on an international level. And it's only through those kind of joint efforts of all involved. And so I think of that as sustainability. I mean, community involvement and giving of your time and skills, it can be certainly challenging. There's always this kind of give and take process, but that's really what I found here is so enriching about it. Costa Rica has provided me a platform to be an entrepreneur as well as have a positive local community impact. So, I mean, being here in Costa Rica helps to bring all that together for me. I have an amazing playground of ingredients, textures, colors, and flavors that keep me occupied creatively as a chef. The fact that I can share my commitment and love for helping stray and homeless dogs through my love of food and culture is just something that I want to talk about with other people in the hopes that, they see themselves maybe doing something similar whenever they are, or whoever they are, or wherever they are living. So a couple of the things that I use, FYI, this is part of our community outreach. This is a book. It's a bilingual coloring book. It's called What Do Veterinarians Do? And so it's a coloring book. And everything's in English and Spanish. It's a really excellent tool besides being fun. So we take crayons to each of these books and we pass them out around the community, different communities around Costa Rica. And again, just for learning English, it's a great tool for knowing how to help take care of your animals. One's called owning a pet, tener una mascota. As is que hacen los veterinarios, they're practicing their Spanish. And so this is a really important part of what we do and what I want to do, because I want, it does start with the youth and with young people and just, learning things through osmosis. I have a cookbook as a chef. A portion of this goes to my dog rescue. Everything I do, my dogs are involved in. And then here's, for instance, a sample of our volunteer program that we put up in local businesses. So it's simple, nothing too high tech, but we've really had a great positive response, and it's really been amazing. So thanks for letting me speak to you about not only one thing that's near and dear to my heart and soul, but two, to be a chef, restaurateur, and a guy that rescues dogs, not necessarily in that order, is a dream come true. So thanks for listening to what I have to say, and that's it. Thank you. Are we good?
Great. I have no idea why you were so nervous about that. That sounded great, as if you do that same speech all the time. That's exactly what we were looking for.
Was there enough kind of info? I felt like I didn't know if I really connected the sustainability and all of that enough. I'm not sure.
No, that was perfect.
Yeah.
And then,
okay.
Even once we get into the questions, it will cover it.
Exactly.
Like on a deeper level too.
Yeah, that's
so
kind
that
of what I was
was
saying.
exactly what we're looking for, like a great overview.
Okay. Perfect.
And just so you know, after we did that video thing, it cleared right up, so that wasn't an issue anymore.
Oh, good. So with a little editing, it should be fine.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Perfect.
Okay, if you're ready to do the questions, then
Sure.
I'll just read you a question. I'll go back on mute while you answer it.
Okay.
And then when you're done, you can just say like next question, and then I'll do the same.
Sounds good. And how many questions in total? I forget.
I think 6.
6. Okay, perfect.
Okay.
All right.
So the first question is, what role do animal shelters play in a community, and how can people support them?
All right. Well, the role that they play in the community is that if there's a strong support of local animals, of the local homeless and stray population, which of course every community has, you are actually helping on a physical cleanliness level, if nothing more. Because when there's an out of control dog population, you can recognize the problems. I think what I want to say is you can recognize communities that don't have effective dog control from ones that do, and you can see the actual difference in the communities themselves. And so teaching how to take care of dogs like that, or you are actually teaching on a broader level how to take care of our community on a bigger level. And so because dogs can be a hazard to health and cause health issues in local communities if it's run out of control. Certainly if they become aggressive, we don't have that problem here. But again, I think that's what you're doing. Next question.
Great. Did you want to comment on how people can support them, or?
Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah. Thanks. I forgot. Yeah, and a great way to support rescues, especially if you're looking internationally like mine, is to really look into where you're traveling, where are you going, where do you want to go, where are your desires around the world. Find out what community involvement you can have as a visitor, either before you go or during your visit and continuing after. I have many tourists, and I don't call them tourists anymore because they're not. They are friends of Costa Rica Dog Rescue and friends of mine that are still involved years and years later from visiting me here in Costa Rica. And that's the kind of impact that you can personally have, and it is incredibly enriching. So that's how you can make a difference.
Great. Okay, the next question is, what is the importance of volunteerism in regards to economic and community development?
All right, so volunteerism is, I think, really important for economic and community development. And the way that it becomes important is the things that you learn from it. So if you can, we always know that for finding a purpose can be very healthy physically and psychologically in people's lives. And certainly on a community level, you're just expounding that much greater. Volunteerism forces us, even if we don't think about it or want to, having a program allows people to start thinking that. And I'll tell you a really quick story of why and how that makes a difference. Because let's say there isn't any volunteerism going in a small town that you happen to love and you go to 2 or 3 times a year or every year. Helping to start that or find the locals that can help and giving them the nudge. I had a person that, he was a local rafting guide. Rafting's very big here. And he had been rafting and they found a little dog on the side of the river just all by himself and didn't, and he was in a bad condition. They brought me the dog and he ended up not bringing me the dog. He got the dog to bring to me. They ended up finding a place for it, found a really great home, people that wanted it and loved it. And he told me, he said, I never would have done that if I didn't know you and what you were doing here. And he said, so thank you, because you made me open my eyes and what I could do, and I did something that made me feel really great. So just on that level, volunteerism is important.
Great. And did you want to say anything about economic development or just about the community development?
Sure. Yeah, in terms of economic development for volunteerism, volunteerism is a way for even people who don't have a lot going on. There's a lot of youth here in Costa Rica in this town, and so they're able to start working. You can actually teach skills through volunteerism that then people can take on, and that can actually be job creation tools for them as they move on in different ways, whether it's administratively, whether it's just the rhythm of going to a job and knowing that, hey, that's how you do it, how to even deal with, the machinations of a business, because a nonprofit or volunteerism is operating within that. So I think from an economic level, it provides that, but it also gives you a higher profile. And I've certainly had, from my businesses, my own business economic development has increased, because I find that visitors from other countries are intrigued and excited to learn about my dogs, even through my business. And so I would say economically it has certainly helped my business, and I've seen it help others. I've seen other restaurants now, because I'm a dog-friendly restaurant, become dog-friendly, and I know it makes tourists feel better about going there. Does that make sense, Allison? What I said?
Definitely. I think that was great.
Okay.
Also, I really like your use of that example earlier on about, the guy finding the dog and,
Yeah.
actually really showing how it pertains to you. So that was a great answer.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks.
so much.
Okay, you got it. Sure.
The next question is, how do you sustain positive impacts of tourism in your area? How do initiatives like this affect the travel industry?
All right.
And then just to add on to that, what are some ways your company, well, you know what, you can start with that. I don't want to give you too much.
Yeah, I'll forget. So tell me again, re-ask me the first two.
Okay, how do you sustain positive impacts of tourism in your area, and how do initiatives like this affect the travel industry?
Okay. In terms of maintaining positive impacts in tourism, you mean how do I personally, how does my business and what I'm doing here maintain that? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, yeah. So having a nonprofit here and a local volunteer program, as well as for international visitors, has really helped to. Wait, I guess ask me again. I'm sorry. Let me start over. Ask me the question. Just ask me the first one.
Okay, sure, no problem. How do you sustain positive impacts of tourism in your area?
Great, thanks. Okay. Yeah, so how do we sustain a positive impact through tourism in this area is that we are really, I think that the program itself, the dog rescue, actually brings people, more to this area. I've had people, I've definitely received many emails of people saying, hey, where are you? Oh, great, we're coming there, that weren't necessarily coming to this area. So in terms of that positive and more permanent long-term impact, I see people are then coming back, and then there are things that people will then go and talk about you and say, hey, you need to go see this place, you need to go do this. And so through building a word of mouth and knowing that you can go and you can do more than just take, right? When we go to a place, we tend to absorb, we tend to take in everything. And a lot of people, and it's growing, want to give something back as well. And so it is a way for that part of the population to say, hey, there's a place I can go. Not only can I absorb the local culture, but I can give something back and leave, leave that. We also do it with groups. We have a lot of young adult groups that are coming to Costa Rica that are incorporating the community development into their trips. And so again, they're going to choose a location that has opportunities for them to do that community development work and community outreach work. And so you can provide that by having a place like I do.
Great. And then, do you want to say anything about how do you combat the negative impacts of tourism?
Okay, yeah. All right, yeah. So obviously, any impact on any probably culture and society anywhere, and certainly from outside, there are certain negative impacts that can happen. Here in Costa Rica, it's apparent where the negative impacts are, and it's it can be in many ways. There's certainly a lot of positive impacts. So the fact that we're talking about negative impacts is why we're talking about it. But on the other side, I see so much on the positive. Negatively speaking, our biggest issue is our eco-sustainability and how do we maintain our, millions of visitors. I think we have about 1.7 million now here in Costa Rica, so we're going to reach the multiple millions part soon. How do we maintain our eco and cultural sustainability while opening ourselves up to this? To other people and certainly to growth and to economic growth, which everybody wants here. And I think that Costa Rica has done a really great job of that. I notice when people come here that they are very, very friendly and open, and I think culturally they're just, it's a free country, it's a democracy, and so people are allowed to be who they want to be. Everyone are entrepreneurs here. It's almost, a lot of people know now Costa Rica is turning from a third world to a second world, maybe a first world soon, and certainly in some ways we're a first world country now. So you see that kind of I just lost my train of thought, Allie. Did I make any sense there? What was I just lost that question too. What was I talking about?
Oh, no, you totally made sense. You were definitely answering the question. It was how you combat the negative impacts of tourism.
Okay, great. Yeah, so just to finish off about the negative impacts of tourism, it's just really about containing the growth and also maintaining respect, for your, of course that's natural, I think, and we always have to do that, but being able to go into local locations and maintain our awareness and respect of what their needs are and not overtrenching on that, a lot of times is what keeps the positive side greater than the negative side. But here in Costa Rica, we're lucky. We do have less negative impact. The culture is very, very open and loves foreign visitors. And so that does help to eliminate the negative impact, certainly the way that it feels for visitors and for them too, because they find ways to work with us. They always do.
How did your role as a restaurant entrepreneur allow you to combine your interests in a meaningful way?
Okay, so yeah, I'll talk about what I love to talk about, my two things. So how was I able to combine my passion for cooking with really the sense of purpose that gets satisfied through my dog rescue, besides the frosting on the cake, which is the constant love fest that I'm involved with all my puppies, so which I love. But the truth is that a restaurant is such a great community meeting place, generally speaking, anywhere, right? So it's where people go for camaraderie and to enjoy good food. And it's a place where I thrive as a chef, so I get to enjoy my customers and talk about them. And it was a place where I was scared to introduce the dogs at first, and I started bringing dogs in, and I started thinking, yeah, I started putting up my volunteer signs everywhere and all over the restaurant. I started hanging the t-shirts for sale in the restaurant. And then all of a sudden I noticed all the comments were about the dogs. Wow, you know, the food, but the dogs. And I started seeing how they were kind of both so embedded in the other. And certainly culturally in North America, we, most parts of the world, yeah, our dogs are our children, they're our family. So it's natural. It's natural. And I recognize more and more how people were willing to connect to those two. My restaurant is dog friendly. They recognized that, yeah, there were some stray dogs coming in. We were very careful and taking care of the dogs that were coming in as well. But it really was a strong connection, and one that, again, people still are connected with. I think through any business you can do it. I think we're all dog lovers for the most part, and any way that you can show that you're able to take the strength of your business and help something that doesn't have the strength, that can't help itself, and in this case, a dog rescue, but it could be any number of things. People are always, I think, in awe of that a little bit, because everybody wants to do that, but we're all busy and we have lives, and so what you're doing by doing it is you're giving people also an opportunity that they can contribute, that they can be a part of it. And that's what the intersecting of those two businesses has done. It's allowed people to be such a huge part of what we're doing here and what I'm doing. And they feel connected, and that's why years later I'm still talking to them. They're still asking how are the dogs. They're still sending donations. They're still finding homes for people, for my dogs, with their friends, and that's really how that intersection has created an amazing connection and has helped the sustainability. And talking about sustainability, my personal sustainability, the Dogs Rescue Center sustainability, my business's sustainability, all revolves around that. So that's what I would say.
Great. The next question was, how do your different projects benefit each other and the local community? I know you've touched on that. I don't know if you have anything else specific to say about that, or if you.
I mean, I'll try and say a couple things without sounding too long-winded. Ask me just one more time real quick.
Sure. How do your different projects benefit each other and the local community?
Yeah, well, the projects benefit each other in that I'm able to coexist them. And so, like I said, when I do my cooking classes, for instance, on my third floor here, we can overlook and hear the dogs, we can see the dogs, we can talk about the dogs, we can go visit the dogs while they're here. I have a restaurant down below, so again, the exact same thing. My restaurant, people will come in and not even realize that there's a dog rescue attached here and go, oh my gosh, hey, can we go see the dogs? And of course, then they become involved and they buy a t-shirt or they make a donation or they simply want to volunteer and walk dogs. So in that respect, they're touching each other. They're really affecting each other.
Hold on, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt for 1
Go ahead.
second. Sorry, you
No.
just got a little choppy right in the middle.
Okay. Oh, okay, I'll start.
Middle of that. Could you do that thing with your video again?
The thing with my video, what? Oh, do the thing with my video. Yeah.
Where you turn it off. Yeah, it just got choppy again for a second where you were cutting out.
Oh, got it. All right.
Okay, thank you.
So ask me the question again, though, just one more time. How do they intersect? What was it again?
How do they benefit each other and the local community?
Yeah. Okay. So should I start over? Or did you get the first part of that?
I got the first part. If you want to just kind of maybe start like in the middle point for a second.
Yeah. So, right. So oh gosh, I'm having trouble starting in the middle right there. All right. So yeah,
You can start at the beginning if you want.
I think I got to start at the beginning and then ask me one more time. I'm sorry, Allison. I have a bunch of stuff in my head, so I want to make sure I'm on point and not just saying the same thing over again.
Oh no, it's totally fine. You're doing great. I'm just not sure like why the If
Why
you
it got really
change on
choppy
your
just
end,
now?
or
Is it still that way?
yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
It might. Okay.
Hey, Brian. All right, so I just I'm having my guy like the Apple TV's running and we run off the same Wi-Fi, so I just said, hey, turn off the Apple TV. That might help. I didn't realize it was on.
I don't know. It looks better already, so maybe that did help.
Okay, good. All right, so one more time on the question, and I'm going to jump into it.
Sure. How do your different projects benefit each other and the local community?
Great, thanks. All right, so yeah, I'm lucky to have a few projects going on here, and lucky enough that they do benefit each other. My restaurant, certainly benefits the dog rescue in that it's a way for me to reach people. It's a way for me to reach an audience. I'm able to put my materials for volunteer around my own restaurant. So many people will see the sign in the restroom of the volunteer and come out and say, hey, how do I do that? We want to go and do that. Buy the t-shirts and all that, and then become more involved. So in that respect, the restaurant, my few restaurants here, and my cooking classes bring a lot to the dog rescue. The dog rescue certainly brings to the restaurant in the sense, just practically, I have a lot of youth volunteer groups. I have a restaurant here. I'm lucky. I can say, hey, come and have a tour. We'll have lunch for you, and you can visit the dogs and do a dog walk. So I'm truly able to really intersect the two places. One of my restaurants is adjacent to the dog rescue, and one of them is not. But either way, I treat them both as if they are, and I let them both be the catalyst for connecting to the other. And I think that makes a big difference, and why we're able to be successful here with them both.
Okay, great. And did you want to comment on what kind of person makes a successful entrepreneur?
Okay, I'll comment on what I think makes a person successful. What makes a person a success? What? Say that again.
What kind of person makes a success?
Oh, now we just cut out. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. What kind of person makes a successful entrepreneur? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thanks. All right. I think the type of person that really makes a successful entrepreneur is a person that knows how to communicate well and build alliances and friendships. I find that my strongest partners come through friendships that I've been able to build first, certainly people that have common interests. You have to be able to know how to build a team, for instance. Trust. There's a lot of things I don't know, but I work with a lot of people that know a lot of different things, and so we're able to sit down together, and the best entrepreneurs ask questions. They listen. Not anything that I'm good at. No, it's something that I've learned certainly over the years and I'm better at now, and helps me be a better entrepreneur. And certainly running a dog rescue is entrepreneurship. And so yeah, open, listening, and let everybody get motivated. Let them feel like they're the entrepreneur. I find that the more people feel like they're part of it, the more they want to be part of it. And I've had several past employees that now own their own businesses here in Costa Rica, so I'd like to think that that we had something to do with that. There it is.
Perfect. And then the last question is, what advice would you give to students, including students including students studying community development, entrepreneurship, sustainability, etc. But I guess what advice would you give to students in general?
Got it, yeah. My advice to students, and certainly students who are interested in community outreach development and nonprofit work, things like that, would be to gain experience. What are your top three passions or purposes? What are your top three destinations? learn about them. Whether you're planning on doing the work there or staying there long periods of time, go there, and that's your education. That'll expand your mind and teach you how to work with that particular culture. One culture may teach you how to open up for another culture, a different place that you may go. And so you can really have a world effect if you're able to go into places, and as students certainly are more effective at this because they're younger and they are more interested and interested in learning as much as they can. So they're primed to be able to go in and ask questions and open their minds and listen. And that's really the best learning that we can do.
Awesome. Would you be able to just do like, a 2 or 3 sentence closure, just wrapping up the session, like, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you learned a lot, something like that.
Okay, great. Great, so I want to really thank everybody for coming to visit me here in Costa Rica. I hope that you learned something from this, and that more than just learn something, that you feel like you can take something that I'm doing and maybe apply it somewhere that can help you reach your goals of what you want to do in terms of community outreach, community development, cultural consciousness, learning about other cultures and visiting other places. So if there's anything that I want to be able to do, it's to be able to pass that on. So I hope you've gotten a little bit of that, and go out and enjoy your experiences.
Wonderful, thank you. My last question for you is just, I really don't want to take up a lot of your time, so this is completely up to you. But remember how it got like choppy when you were talking about the dog, and then you started over like that section once you started talking about the dog? Did you want to like redo just the section right before that, or
sure, I'll do it. Yeah, I can do it. Let me. What was the section right before? Let me find it here. All right, so where I wanted to give you a little bit about the paragraph before, where I want to give you an idea of where we are here in Costa Rica. We're Northern Pacific, lower elevations, under Cerro Chato. It's great for the animals, for the weather. That it's a very dynamic environment, yet culturally a fairly relaxed attitude. A great balance. That was kind of the sentence. And then I said my original goal was to be only a business owner and live here part-time. Now I own a few restaurants, blah, blah, blah. And then the one right after that, so I want to give you a little bit of history on the dog rescue. We started our nonprofit. And then after that's our in-person volunteer. Should I just do those 2 dog paragraphs again, maybe?
Well, I think we redid the part that said, I want to give you a little history on the dogs, right? Isn't that where we redid earlier?
I think that's where we started again, yeah. And then our in-person volunteer program has been a real success. Yeah, we did that, yeah. So you want me to go before that?
The section right before that you said, like, about the elevation and where we are.
All right, perfect.
From there to that.
Sounds good. All right, great. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
All right. Okay, so let me give you an idea of where we are here in Costa Rica. Our region is Northern Pacific. Besides being amazingly beautiful, lush, and green all year round, which is not true for every climate in Costa Rica. We actually have 5 microclimates in this very small country. We have, because we're up higher elevation, on top of that, locally, I'm at a higher elevation than the local town because I'm on the slopes of a dormant volcano called Cerro Chato. There's a very famous volcano right next to us that's semi-active called the Arenal volcano. So at any rate, I'm up high, and so it really gives me all these amazing breezes and just freshness, which is key for the animals. Costa Rica, obviously, we're a humid and hot climate. Having this area up high for the dogs makes a big difference. It's great for the volunteers. They're able to come and do the dog walking in a refreshing environment. It's a super dynamic environment. Lots of plants and animals to discover besides the dogs. And as dynamic as it is, culturally, it's still just a really relaxed attitude everywhere here in Costa Rica. And that's what makes a great balance. My original goal was to be just a business owner. I wanted to be here part-time. So I own a few restaurants now. I founded a dog rescue and built a house and gourmet kitchen. I live here full-time, so I'm sure you get it. All right, I think I did it.
Oh, sorry. I was still on mute when I was trying to talk to you.
Oh, sorry.
That was perfect. Thank you so much for redoing that.
Yeah, sure. No problem.
It'll be so much better that way.
Oh, good. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, that's my goal.
So
I want it to be good.
I can turn my video back on.
Okay, and I'll